Donna, you can sit here.
I know what the cost is, we have to use $50,000.
The residents are also joining us.
Okay.
And then we can put Lawrence on that side, yes?
Okay.
Do you have something you want me to distribute?
Well, this one needs to go to you because it's got references in it.
Okay.
The rest of it goes down.
I mean, the one on top needs to be replaced.
The black?
It doesn't matter, they're all the same.
I know, but a lot of people have a problem, you know. Because
I'm gonna
this
call
time we have to
Elizabeth.
take-
Elizabeth's hard, just so she'll be here. She'll be here, but
And we're gonna have to- and we have to-
Eric?
Larry.
Okay, it's my board members.
I tried to get
Yeah.
them on, they couldn't.
I'll drop these off.
They wanted the 40-year certification. Well, we already got it, we did that. Huh? From Citizens, no problem. No? No problem. Nice. So I told them to the citizens, CITO and CIEN. We had no problem at all. Really? As a personal loan, as a, it's because you can try to learn, but you don't actually use it until you actually draw it to life. And,
No, I know, he tests. He says that he needs to try to remove it.
You're in West Carolina.
Yeah.
Spent all day out there yesterday volunteering
Oh,
at the Western Country Club.
how nice. I love the area.
It's for
And
Russell,
I still was the highway.
Russell Education Foundation, all told.
And I need vacation, I understand.
I used to work out there. I worked out there for about 4 years. Of course, it's through the treatment clinic and medical management insurance. So when I went out there yesterday, I said, oh, man.
Okay, Eric, we're gonna get started. Can you hear me? Okay, we'll attempt this again. If it doesn't work, we can do a separate phone interview with Blair, Elizabeth, if she doesn't make it on time, and then yourself, okay? All right, hold on. So we're gonna try to talk a little loud, so. All right, everybody, this meeting is called to order. Today is Tuesday, April 30th. The agenda is really simple. It is interviewing a potential vendor for a management company. Tonight we have CAM Professional Services. We have with us Donna Goldstein and Maritza Quadra.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Now, ladies, for the sake of time, we'll have each board member introduce themselves. But after that, what we like to do is to give us a really detailed overview of your company, your services, and then based on the information you provide, I have additional questions, and the board may have additional questions, and then at the very end, we'll open it up to our unit owners, okay? All right, so Lauren, you want to start?
Lloyd Bruce, 36-year resident, homeowner of Omega Village Phase 4.
Hi, my name's Bretta Wilhelm. I live in phase 3. I've been here for about 13 years now.
Okay. Patty Sabates, I've been here over 20 years in December, and I live in phase 4.
Marjorie Thomas, I've been here almost 24 years.
Wow.
And I am in phase 2.
My name is Miriam Gerardo. I live in phase 4 since 2004.
Sean Martin, I've been living here since 2007.
Donna Goldstein. Yeah, Maritza Quadra, so.
Just that.
Yeah. I hope to be saying in 20 years.
So ladies, your name was provided to us from Loomis, Hector Medina, and I understand you were also formerly Phoenix,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, Phoenix Associated, which is why we changed our name.
Phoenix Associated.
There are 2 Phoenixes. And
Is there currently a Phoenix?
there's currently a Phoenix, and we changed our name because their reputation is horrible and they are non-responsive. So we felt it was better to change the company name and just move forward.
Okay, so but currently you're under CAM Professional Services, the VPR shows your
Yes.
licenses, everything under your new name?
Yes.
Okay. All right, if you can give us, thank you very much for the packets, if you can give us a detailed overview, and then we'll go from there.
You want to start? Here we go. I have been doing property management for 16 separately. Years ago, I hired Maritza as my admin, and in no time she got her license, and she has come with me to a number of places. We work together, we work separately, and our last job was at a condo in Fort Lauderdale for 4.5 years, I think. Board change, and everyone knows how that goes, and they didn't like my contract, so they let me go. Maritza called me a few days later and said, I'm not comfortable, I think, something's going on, why don't we start our own business? And we did. We're a hybrid company. We conform to what the association needs. We don't tell you how to run the association. You tell us how you want to run the association, and we conform our business model to that. We make sure that you're in compliance on, the things you need to be in compliance on. We also do project management. In our contract, that is a separate item. It is more work, and we bill for it on an hourly basis. But when the project's over, you stop paying. We don't build it into the management fee itself. We do portfolio, we do on-site. We have properties where we have a manager on-site, and we, Maritza and/or I, spend time on every property that we have every week. Want to fill in?
Okay, so I take care of a lot of the administrative part of it, compliance, very important, dealing with contractors, the transparency and communication with your owners and with the board. I know you're taking notes, so I don't want to go too fast. Okay, and, I pride myself on that. I really try to follow up and make sure that all the loopholes, are closed. And if there's any issues that are pending, that they're taken care of. We try to make a list of priorities, with the board, maybe every week, every couple of weeks, like the top 3, so we can go ahead and tackle those instead of just being all over the place. It just makes things, I like to work organized, we like to work very organized, and we try to do that as much as we can. With all of that, dealing with everyday issues, but, we try to stay on task.
We also have a section in our contract that states that we do not pay kickbacks or any remuneration from any contractors or anyone that we work with. We are here for the board. We don't tolerate it. If a contractor even so much as offers it, he's off the property and he won't come back on, because our license is valuable to us and we are here to work for you.
So with that said, we do have a lot of vendors and we have, contractors that have very good reputations that have worked with us in the past. And if you're open to it, just like anybody else, you could bring them in, let them bid, let them talk to you and see how you like them as well, with references and everything else, Just because they know us, they've done work for us at other properties, we can call them and they'll respond immediately. And when you're in a bind, you need an emergency, it helps a lot.
We have a plumber at 3 in the morning if I'm calling, he's here. So, I've also put in the packets some newsletters that we have done on different properties, budget versus actual on our project, there's some project updates. We've taken properties through material change vote, we have done special assessments, we have helped procure loans for associations. Depending on how often, usually it's once a month we do a newsletter. Some boards want it a little more often. It's kind of hard to fill when you're doing it too often, but we do communicate with the owners by email blast. We send out these notices, we give them updates when things are happening in the community to keep everyone informed.
That's it.
Any questions?
Does anybody have any questions they want to add before I go through a series of questions? You want to wait to see?
I'll wait.
You wait? Okay.
I would just like to say, we did spend some time on the phone with Patty, so we kind of have a sense of what you need here and your association. So, we're here just to talk to you.
Okay, great. What does your business structure look like as far as administrative support? I know is it just you two in the company and you support your properties, or how is that?
Like I said, we are on every property every week, but there are properties where we have admins, there are properties where we have managers, there are properties where we have maintenance people. we have a staff and we bring them on, they work for us, we pay the taxes and the whole 9 yards, and we can put them on properties if they're needed.
Okay. So as far as your office administrative support, if a unit owner calls, who will they be getting?
We have a 24-hour answering service and a dedicated email that will be for this community, for emergencies, you know, like fatalities, flooding, fires. We're notified immediately, okay? And then we also see their number and we call them back. We don't like to be getting our cell numbers out. And rather than them just leave a, you know, message, like in an office voicemail, this is gonna come directly to us at whatever time it is. And of course, the board would always have our cell numbers and be able to contact us.
Okay, so if a unit owner needed to visit, you don't have an office?
No,
No.
keep the overhead down.
We're remote, we work, you know, and travel.
My
very
car.
much.
Car and a laptop, you're.
Quick question, if people that you hire, whether it's management or if you need extra hands on deck, are they contractors or are they part of your company?
We
Are they
hire them.
employers?
We hire them as employees, they are covered under workman's comp. We make sure everyone is an employee of our company. And we bill the association accordingly if they are hired specifically for an association.
How large is your staff?
Right now, we have 5 in addition to us.
I'm sorry?
5 in addition to us.
And those other 5, who are they?
We have we have a couple of admins on properties. We have a property manager, full-time on a property in Miami Beach. We have a maintenance person who goes from property to property. Because they're small, they don't need a whole lot of work.
How much time does your property manager, visit the site that you're contracted?
It's negotiated with.
Yeah, it depends on where we're here to learn from you as well, in addition to what Patty has said. How many times a week you want us on property. Most of the time, I'm close, it would probably be me. But if not, it would be Maritza or one of our managers.
Yeah, some properties just want like an hour a week. Some want a couple more hours. You were mentioning something like 4 hours, I think. So it all depends how big the property is and what your needs are.
What's the usual, the ones that you listed here? What is the usual? Is it 4 hours, 3 hours, or what?
Yeah.
I like to have a number.
Yeah,
Like we have one that's 8, you
right.
know, and that's how many apartments are that?
That's
That's a building,
120
122.
apartments.
Mhm.
Well, there's one that is gonna want between us 24 hours a week on site initially. We're trying to understand that community, and then we'll go back to them and suggest whether they need a full-time on-site manager or part-time. But we come in and understand the process in that building before we make that recommendation.
And that manager would be billed separately,
That manager is billed
association
separately on the
fees.
invoice, yes, yes.
so it's not part of your,
The management fee is the management fee, and then staff is billed separately. We
But
also,
want to add too, that we're not adding a burden, like a lot of
well,
these big companies.
we bill exactly what we pay, the salary, taxes, and the insurance. But we don't, like Castle, put a 20-30% burden on every employee. And I think that's, it's onerous on a property. So we just cover our expense on that. There's something I wanted to say, I forgot.
We really complement each other also, we've worked together really well, you know, so that's a great plus. We're not competing against each other, but we work together, that's why we're both partners, so.
What is the maximum number of properties or doors that each camp would have? So you have one that's stationed in Miami Beach, and then there's 2 of you, you're both camps, correct?
Yes.
What is the maximum number of properties you would allow your company for one person to oversee?
Well, I don't believe in the portfolio vision of 12 to 14 properties per manager. I think that's just.
When we started, we always said no more than 4. 4 should be the max.
No more than 4
For
each.
each person, yeah. I mean,
But-
and it depends on the properties too, because some
Right.
are more, you know.
Yeah, we've got some smaller properties up in Pompano that, we've got the 552 unit property on Miami Beach with, it has a full-time manager and an assistant manager, because that's a bigger property. But we do stop in every week, even if it's for an hour, just to make sure things are moving properly. We're on the phone with the board quite a bit on that property. We decided that we would only take as much as we can handle. Okay, I don't want to become a property management company. Does that make sense to you?
Traditional.
Yeah, I don't want to be a castle. I want to be professionals, you know.
Yeah.
We want to give you
That
personal
personal touch and that interaction, you know, it gets very personal. I work for
Yes,
people
it is.
also and other management companies, and it's very cold and
It is.
Everybody's just a
Depending
number.
on the revenue that property is generating is the amount of attention you get. That's how.
And
it
not
works.
even that, no,
it's
no.
just.
You're not going to see a president or a vice president from Castle show up on your property unless you have a major problem.
And they can't relate because they're not really involved in the day-to-day issues. You know, we are communicating with our managers, admins constantly. We're available, you know, we are open. So whenever they have a problem, they contact us. So we're kind of abreast of what's going on in the property.
And our boards,
It's
we
very
answer phone calls on my phone. And all weekend long for boards.
That was my next question. So you don't charge separate services aside, you don't include the time the board takes of your time or the unit owners into incorporate the number of hours you dedicate a week, correct?
That's why we want to understand what you want. And then we will give you a flat monthly fee.
Sure.
If we find out down the road that, oh my God, we're spending twice as much time here, or, you know, there are too many issues, we'll come back to the board and discuss it. But normally, we give you a price and you got us.
So how do you interact with the residents? Let's say they have an issue, they contact you, it's an emergency. Let's say it's not an emergency. Tuesday morning, is there a website they go through after they speak to you, say, hey, I have a problem, they put in a requisition? Walk me through that process. Like, how do they get things handled, resolved, managed?
As Maritza said, we have an email that will be set up specific for this community. They can send an email, they can call the customer service number. We get notified by text from the customer service company with all the, it literally transcribes what was said in the message.
Okay.
And if it's an emergency, we'll call them back immediately, we'll jump on it. Normally, we try to reply within 24 hours. Okay, just because everybody can't expect an answer within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We try to reply within 24 hours, unless it's something really urgent, because we are both looking at emails all the time, in addition on our computer. We will reach out to owners if there's a problem and help them try. If somebody's got a water issue, we'll reach out to them. Do you have a plumber? That would be the first question. No, well, we can recommend a couple. Let's get somebody out here. We'll get someone out here to take a
Well,
look
the
at
first thing
problem.
is shut the water off.
Well,
You want to
yes,
stop the flow.
that is the truth.
That's the first, yeah. You have to kind of walk them through it because people stress out and they you know, don't understand what they have to do. They're nervous.
Right.
Just walk them through it, calm them down, and go from there. But sometimes they might want a face-to-face meeting. So when we're here, we just set something up, maybe in here, probably in here, you know? Because some people just want to talk face-to-face.
Right.
And I get that.
Additionally, we do not do any accounting. We are simply property managers. I understand you're with Judo, and we have a couple of other properties so we know Judo, we know most of the ones around here. If you want a website, we do not do websites, but we will kind of piggyback on what Judo gives you for your customer properties where unless there's a board
They
meeting.
learned their lesson.
We seldom see the board until there's a board meeting and we do touch base with at least the president, on a weekly basis to make sure that everything's going well. But any board member can call us, if there's a problem.
How do you handle, issues of conflict that arise between board members, board and yourself?
Between board members and ourselves,
Right, how do you handle that?
try and sit down and talk. I mean, there's nothing you can't discuss and resolve. If we're doing something that you don't like, we're happy to try and change the way we do something if there's a legitimate reason. Sometimes you run into personality conflicts, and if that were the case, if I had a personality conflict with you, you'd be talking to Maritza.
But I mean, everything can be worked out. You talk about, whatever it is, where nobody's perfect. So we just take it like constructive criticism and we learn from each other. I mean, that's how life is.
I prefer the word
Sometimes we,
feedback.
yeah, it's feedback, you have good ideas
Right.
that maybe we haven't heard of, but we've been around a long time, there's things maybe you haven't heard of. So we just exchange communication and, it seems to work out.
How do you maintain the official records of the association? What's your style?
Digitally,
All digital?
all digitally.
But from point of starting
Well,
forward?
it depends, when you take over an association, when you go through the transition, we're just going through one right now that's a total nightmare. When you go through the transition, you're supposed to get everything that goes back, at least 7 years. And now the state is saying you have to keep records longer. We should be getting that from the other company. We understand we're not gonna keep every property forever. Things happen, boards change, and if you decide to hire someone else, we would have no issue with turning over records. It's professional. It's the way we should do
It's
business.
just basically.
But there are companies that don't want to do that, when the time comes. So then you get the lawyer involved, and eventually you get them. We feel that if they're kept digitally, and we do backups, and we have things on the cloud, and then we would have it loaded up on Judah in addition, your records are available to your owners, because that's where the state's going anyway. So everything should just be uploaded, and then we don't have to worry about boxes and boxes of paper.
Well, maintenance of, keeping records of communication emails. How do you store them? In the cloud?
Yeah.
Later Wi-Fi, incidents, things like that. It's building an issue or resident, but very well.
How many condo associations do you manage now?
Oh, right now we have 7,
Seven.
and we have 2 proposals now. And hopefully we'll have enough to use shortly.
So you just mentioned that you have one that's going through transition right now. That's difficult.
We're picking it up, we're taking this one over, and the company just, they don't want to turn over any financial information, not even to the auditor.
Oh, wow.
So, we're interfacing with that. They supposedly uploaded documents, we're having a hard time downloading them, so I just dropped off the thumb drive today and said, just put it on this and I'll pick it up in a couple of days. But we need the accounting information, obviously.
Fortunately for you, you have your accounting separate.
Yeah,
That's-
you won't
that's
be able to
great.
do that.
Because that's really, really important. You have to know where you're standing,
There's another advantage, well, there are a couple of advantages to that. Number one, no matter who you have as a management company, your accounting is in one place, and you don't have to go through the lockbox changes and all of that. Number two, you've got 2 sets of eyes on everything that's going on.
Checks and balances.
We actually, our first property, and Maritza and I decided very early on that we were not going to do the accounting, but our first property had been managed by a management company in South Dade for years. And when we finally got the banking information, this association had $6,000 in the bank, 52-unit, 2-building condo. We looked through the records, and fortunately, one of the directors took a picture of every check that he signed, so we started piecing things together. This management company had under-budgeted them so badly that they couldn't pay their bills. They would bring checks to the board to sign, and then void the checks and not tell the board. So now,
Never mail them.
we hit the property, we realized what was going on. we had to do was $100,000 special assessment. You can imagine how popular we were after that. But eventually we got things straightened out. There was some lawsuits we had to settle. I mean, there was a lot that we took on that property just to get them straightened out. And they did, they did separate the accounting from the management. Until there was a board change that led back to another management, that does all of it. So we just feel you've got two sets of eyes. Your insurance agent's going to be really happy because your insurance policy would actually prefer that. We code the invoices, we approve the invoices, we upload them to Judith's site. You guys, whoever goes on to approve them, approves them, and then they get printed. And then we double check the financials to make sure, because things get miscoded once in a while. We go through the financials, making sure things are in the right place, and we do your budgets for you, because we're the ones dealing with the contracts and the vendors and all of that, in conjunction with Judith. But we prepare the budget. We will do a budget workshop before the budget meeting so that the owners can come in. You can do it on Zoom, however you want to do it, so the owners can come in and understand the budget and where it's going. So accounting-wise, I'm really strong on the budgeting side. In fact, I taught budgeting classes for Castle for a number of years. But we want your budget to be accurate, which is what the state mandates.
How do you manage an on-site, whether it be a grounds person or a maintenance person? How do you manage their day with no oversight? Because there's never a property manager on site.
Right.
Well, I've had those, and what I do is usually we're texting each other, unless you have a software app or something, some of them have it if they have a company that they deal with. And, let them know what has to get done that day on top of whatever is routine. If there's emergencies or things that he has to address,
We
and
also
also checklist.
Yeah, we also have a checklist form, for some of them, where they have to check off on a daily basis what they've done. And we pop up from time to time, just to make sure that they're actually doing their job.
How do you screen tenants or renters? What's your current process now?
We use we use
Verify. Verify. Basically, first, we have to have the contract. We don't give out any information to all the realtors that start calling immediately. We only deal with the owners. And we get the lease or, the purchase contract. And then we have a list. I don't know if you have an application package. We have one. We can look at it and see, whatever we need to add or subtract from it. Once we get everything together, the application fee also, then we start processing. Send it out for the background. First of all, I don't know if you have a criteria, like credit scores or anything, so we have to look at your bylaws. But once everything comes back, then we review it, get a pre-approval, give it to whoever it is that if one of you or all of you get together to review it, have an interview, and then do an approval or denial. I also like to do that, not to apply again for a background, but for the renewal leases. Every year, a new renewal lease, a brand new lease. They don't have to do a background, but they have to be paid up. Everybody's got to be paid up, whether it's purchase or rental. Look at the ledgers, check with accounting, and then again, any violations, anything like that come into play, then we decide whoever it is that's going to decide denial or an approval. And I also like to do an approval or denial letter for those as well.
Additionally, we really do look into the financials, the bank statement and the tax returns, because it doesn't make sense to let someone buy if they can't afford to maintain the unit, especially if it's a second home, because now you've got a home somewhere else with insurance and taxes and all of that. So in some cases, we will ask, what is your mortgage payment? What are your taxes? What is your insurance up there? So we can make sure that they're coming in a successful position rather than in 3 months they can't pay their maintenance. And there you go. Do you have a big delinquency problem?
We used to. It's under control now.
Okay.
That was the delay of the loan for the project.
Right, because there too, we watch the delinquencies. We make sure the noble letters go out on time. This property in Miami Beach when we picked it up. It's $2.5 million in delinquencies. And within about 3 months, I collected over half of that because we went after the renters. You know, we started turning off. We did a bunch of stuff, but we collected quite a bit of money in a very short period of time just because somebody was paying attention finally.
Is there a separate charge when you interview prospective homeowners or renters?
We collect the $150. We don't charge you anything.
Okay, you collect $150 from them.
Yes.
Do you,
And I like this company, I'm just add, I like this company, I don't know who you deal with, I think you said Tenant. Is it Tenant that you use now?
for a background?
Yeah.
I'm not, no, it's not ten.
Oh, well, we just like Verify because they do international as well, they're very thorough and quick, and you could reach them. If you have a question, any problems, you can call them and they're responsive. With others, I mean, I get to run around and wind up with somebody in India, you just don't, and they take forever. And you have nowhere to call to actually get an answer. And people, you know, they usually turn them in. You know, we tell them, don't rush us, we have time, we're gonna get it done before then, but it's like they want it done in a week, 5 days.
So that was the next question. So the standard is 30 days.
Yes.
Is that you
Well,
turn around?
some of them are less, it all depends, whatever your rules say.
The
30 days
state
or
says
you know,
we have 30 days. We
at
we
least
usually,
some would take
within
that long.
2 to 3 weeks, we can usually get somebody totally approved.
Yeah, because sometimes closings are
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then they have to, the other thing we do is we do double check the estoppels before they go out to make sure that they're correct.
Okay. We talked a little bit about emails and records and so forth. Is there any particular software that you utilize to manage our information?
Microsoft.
Just Microsoft?
Yeah.
Um, What are some of the strategies you have to help your community save money?
Well, we look at water bills, sometimes you have a leak and you don't even know it. You know, it's like anything, you have to follow through and keep checking your bills. If you see something jump, you know, address it. You know, usually call the city or whatever. With the waste, you know, maybe you're having the waste collection come too often, maybe because you don't have a big enough container.
No, that's not the case here.
No.
Are you familiar with the city of Plantation? Do you have any communities in the city of Plantation?
Yeah, but I lived in Plantation for a while. What is the issue?
So we have the blue bag system, we have containers.
Yes.
This particular area is the blue bag system. In the back area, they do collect the trash that they pick up and so forth, but they also buy blue bags to put out. Yeah. Has anybody in your company, and this is you or any of the other 5 that work for your company, and I'm sorry, but I have to ask this, has anybody in the past ever pled guilty to any fraud or related charges?
No, and we background check all of our employees.
Do you just exclusively manage associations? Do you have any other types of businesses that
We
you
do project management.
project management? But for just condos or?
No, co-ops, condos,
Co-ops,
HOAs,
and HOAs.
How do you track maintenance tickets that are done through the association website? The property manager would have access to that. How do you handle it? What's your usual customary turnaround time to either get in touch with a unit owner or to engage with that unit owner saying, hey, we're in receipt? What's that process look like for you all?
Well, it depends what it is, you know, some things take a little longer, but we try to respond, again, like you said, 24 hours or less, it's usually less. We just put that as a caveat, but, you know, we'll respond that same day, and again, try to help them to make arrangements if it's something that they have to do, or if it's something that we're responsible for, you know, have it assessed by the proper contractor, whoever it is, sometimes we'll
eventually the association is gonna get hit. We will come in and document, and we will write the reports. We'll make sure Hector gets a copy of everything, so that that can be followed up on. We just recently picked up a property up in Deerfield, and they have 2 owners who turn around and sue every time they think about something. And fortunately, Hector makes you write a really good report, because we're going back to a couple of years ago before we were there, but Hector has all the reports, and I'm dealing with the lawyers now on these lawsuits. So fortunately, I have all the records from him.
Well, for example, just to piggyback off what Patty said, so once they get in touch with you, where does the paper trail start? Is it an email they send,
Yes,
or
right there.
requisition,
Yes, yes.
and your admin
Yes.
handles that?
Then
And
we do an
then,
incident report.
Right,
Yes,
okay.
work order,
okay.
yeah. Okay.
So you mentioned you have 2 admins, but they're assigned to a property.
Right.
If I pick up the phone and called your number listed as your business number, who am I getting?
Me or Marissa?
But what if you are out and about? Who,
Well, then you call the other number and get the other person,
what other person?
either me or Marissa.
No, no, she's,
Okay.
okay, it's gonna go to that answering service unless you call us directly to our cell. You call the cell, you're gonna get us. If you call that other number, it's gonna go to that answering service, and then they'll contact us.
And we both
You
get
might as well just call us
Yeah.
or text us, you know.
How often do you walk your properties for inspections?
Once a week when we're there.
Once a week?
Yeah. Now, some properties are really big and we walk a portion at a time because of, the time constraint and what else is going on. But we do inspect the properties.
You know, if we're having a pool pump, which I had one, pool pump being installed, I'm gonna go out there, the guy's telling me he's gonna come such a day. Okay, I make sure I get out there and see what he's doing, take a look. Usually a board member likes to come to and look and see, but pictures also and warranty, and he's not gonna get paid until it's finished, final, and everybody approves everything.
So when a contractor is doing something that's on common ground, right? Who, are you saying that you will come and confirm and validate the work before the checks, the invoices
Yeah,
are
but we're not
sent?
going to prove it unless we know for sure that that person was here. I want some proof that he was here that day,
Well, I don't want proof that he was here, I want proof that
Yes,
it was
we're
done.
done. Work,
And I'm saying, if we know he's coming, within a certain time frame, one of us will come out here and watch whatever is going on.
Because I've had contractors that they just, sit there and send you invoices. I'm like, hello, you weren't here that day, I could do the
And I
same.
guess that's what I'm getting to,
Yeah.
how do you know? What do you do to make
Well,
sure?
If you're here, I want a ticket, or you have to sign in, I don't know if you have a sign in.
No,
Well,
that's what I
okay.
try to explain to you, there is no on-site manager, okay? Or you have the groundskeeper, maintenance, whatever we wanna call it, what future focus we wanna have, that's it. So the property manager for us has to be accessible and has to do, because what happens is, for many board members, this is a full-time job, and we can't continue like this, okay?
Right.
And so we're counting on our property management company to be the one to be on site, verify the work that's being done, respond to residents, follow up with residents in a timely manner. And if there's a delay, that then it's done by the manager, not a board member. So that's what I'm saying, so that on-site person, then that was one of my questions, this person has to be managed. I can take pictures all I want all day, but is it really, how is it being validated, is what my question is.
Well, part of it is, especially for a full-time on-site groundskeeper or whatever we have, we show up, we don't come at 10 o'clock every single week, we show up at different times
Right.
to see where he is and what he's doing. If you need a pool pump put in, obviously they have to make an appointment for a time frame. One of us will be here. Your construction project, I'm out on properties, and it's an hourly rate, so it doesn't end up costing you a whole ton of money. But I'm at So we are able to verify things that are being billed to the association and make sure that things are being done properly. Even paying your contractor, are you getting a release of lien every time you get a payout before you write that check? Those are things that we follow up with. We also do, and you'll find in the very back of your package, we do a budget versus actual, and we update it monthly with what your actual expenses were. We include change orders when they come in, so you have a handle on how much, this project was supposed to be, where we are financially, how much extras are gonna cost, or how much less, so you have an understanding.
What are some of the fees you charge extra that don't typically come into your management contract?
Zoom,
I'm sorry?
Zoom, if we use our Zoom to set up a meeting,
You would charge
we
the
charge
association?
the association for that, because we have to pay for it. We charge for literally paper and envelopes for mailings and things like that. Let me see what else, postage, any expenses that are specific to the association get charged.
Mailings and different things as such.
I'm sorry?
For like mailings and
Right.
different newsletters as such.
Yeah, well, most newsletters we send out by email blast, and then we'll come post one in the community room. So we're not charging for that, but annual meeting, budget meetings, the things that you have to send out a mailing for, we do pass that charge along to you.
How about your time at the board meetings?
We give you one board meeting a month. We give you 2 annual, either an annual and a budget meeting every year. And then if you have additional board meetings that require us to be here, or to be on Zoom, it's $125 an hour for the extra meetings.
And you had to manage the full contractors on these.
Keep them off the property also.
I'm tough.
I had a roofer
I'm-
that wasn't certified to put a specific, product on the roof.
Yeah,
And remember?
yeah.
And so I showed up and I told him you have to, and plus he had already gotten an attorney's letter, so what are you doing here? And I'm sorry, you have to get off the property right now.
And I go up on roofs.
She likes
I like roofs. We stay very involved with the contractors.
So we're going through, part of the 40-year, okay? Talk about billable hours. What's that look like for us if we need you on property?
It's $125 an hour
In addition to your contract?
in addition to the contract. For any work done on the project, it's $120, the budget versus actual. If we
No,
do-
it wouldn't be it wouldn't be project management. We have a project management.
Okay.
Manager through our engineer. I'm saying, looking out for the association, typical things a property management company would do when their community is going through a 40-year certification.
We would be here for the weekly inspection. I would wander around, I would talk to the contractor, the supervisor, the superintendent, find out where we are with things.
But that's $120 an
No,
hour?
if project management, if you've got a project manager who's overseeing all of that,
Right.
we do more facilitating of communication, okay, with what we call project management. We do help with the budgeting, we do help with notifications to the owners that we're gonna be working on a certain, part of the property, you can't park here, you have to park elsewhere, we help find parking spaces, that type of thing. That is extra time that we would not normally be on property, and yes, we do bill for that.
Okay, so let me rephrase my question. We're in the middle of the 40-year certification. It is not uncommon to have additional board meetings aside from your monthly. If I'm understanding correctly, you charge us to be at those board meetings
After the first one,
after those.
you get 1 a month. And we will come in for committee meetings and stuff like that. It's primarily what you get charged for is things that happen at night. If you have a committee meeting scheduled during the day, I'll still be here. And there's no charge for that.
Yeah, most of the board members work during the day.
Right.
Yeah. Vendors, let's talk about vendors. One of the things that the board needs to do inspections will give us some relief for our June renewal,
Right.
okay? What was I
On
going
reserve side,
No, and this is something you can clarify
Yeah,
for us,
you
because this is so confusing. In the beginning, this whole Champagne Towers thing, and the state legislator says, okay, legislation said, okay, from now on, effective 2025, no communities will be allowed to waive reserves anymore. And then it's back and forth, the lobbyists, blah, 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 blah. And they said, okay, I read articles that say anything 3 floors and above have mandatory reserves effective 2025. So when we go to do our budget for this year, if we run a 3-story or above, we have to include the reserves.
I'll get clarification.
Get clarification because it's not clear. It depends who you ask. Depends if you ask an attorney, they tell you one thing. If you have property managers, they tell you another thing. If you read articles, they tell you both.
Nothing legal interpretation.
And it might change by next year.
That's the problem. There's so much information
It's
out
like, don't
there.
hold your breath.
What's happened is when after Champagne Towers, the pendulum went from this to
Really
all the way to
dramatic.
there. And so I
But
think
this-
they're trying to gauge it.
We're talking about what's written in the law.
Right,
And
right.
what's written in the law is clear, and
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't even turn.
But I will get clarification.
Okay, so let's talk about vendors. That's where I was headed. Do you have accessible a list of preferred vendors that you've had experience with? For example, we have Subline Pools as they just finished the pool, the spa, and they're their service provider. We have Proscapes that does our landscaping and our hardwood tree cutting, okay, twice a year. We have FS Sprinklers that maintain our sprinklers. Who else do we have? We have Judah Eskew, who's our accounting. It's really.
Your fire
Oh, we
alarm.
have our, our electrical company
Right.
is, they just did our, anyways. So we have established some relationships over the years. But let's say in our vendor review, we say, we wanna see what else is out there.
Sure.
What relationships do you have with landscapers, tree trimming companies?
Lots.
Lots.
All different.
And we are more than happy to ask them to come bid,
Okay,
even if it's just to keep who you have honest.
right.
I actually worked a property that really liked the landscaper, and I went out to bid, and the bids were coming in much lower, and I went back to that landscaper and said, look, they really like it, but you're charging too much. And he dropped his price. I have no problem with negotiating, especially on your behalf.
Okay.
So we do have vendors that we do rely on. We mentioned that earlier. We also will go to every one of your vendors and make sure we have a COI and we have a license, that they are legitimately able to work here, because I can't tell you how many properties we walk into where, oh, we've got this really great plumber and he's not licensed. Now what do you do? So we do investigate that. We make sure that you've got legitimate people working on property.
One thing on my list here I didn't ask, and I know you have a hybrid company, but what would be your hours of operation for your company?
Well, I can tell you,
No, I'm not saying from a unit owner perspective.
9 to 5, but in reality, we're working at night, we're working on weekends.
If someone has an emergency, they're
Yeah.
gonna contact you.
Yeah,
right?
and
That's fine.
we'll be there for you.
For emergency services overnight, do you charge for those calls?
No.
What, do you have vendors that are already in line for emergency services?
Yes, we do.
I think I covered the same.
Property management is not a 9 to 5 business.
Never is.
Okay, sorry.
No, but I'm saying from the expectation of a unit owner. You're not gonna expect a unit owner to ask you a question about their tree in the front at 10 o'clock at night. That's what I'm saying, what are your office hours?
That's why we do,
want it.
that's why we do customer service and we get.
So that, I'm sorry, go back, that customer service line is open 24/7?
Yes, it is.
So it's just a matter of when you get the
somebody who says, I've got a flood, or I've got a fire, or, you know, something, we'll respond immediately, and if we have to be here, we'll be here. We tell you in our contract, if there's fire, flood, a death, we will be here within an hour of being notified. We do a hurricane manual for you. We will do the initial preparation, run it through the board, because obviously you know, you have a little more sense of the community. Once the board approves it, we'll send it out to the owners. There's a lot of information about stocking up for stuff.
That was my next question. Hurricane season is coming up. You just mentioned you do a manual. Prep, let's say we get a threat. Does that time for prepping, is that charged separately from your perspective? Did you balking the property to ensure everything's
No,
secure?
part of
It's part
the
of the
job. And if you have anything major afterwards, one of us will be out right away.
Do you have a list that's included in the scope of your,
Well, our contract pretty much outlines.
And it's here, a sample?
No, I don't have a sample.
Oh, okay.
You said it used to live in Plantation.
Yeah.
Are you aware of the city of Plantation?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a relationship with the city of Plantation?
No, I really don't, but that's not an issue. You know, I can overcome those apartments and everything else. In fact, I'm property managing a condo in Fort Lauderdale right outside Wilton Manors. And every building department official has my cell phone. They've got a guy on that property who complains about everything, literally inundates them with emails. And it's now got to the point where, Donna, I've got this problem, go ahead and take, you know, and we get it resolved. Today it was getting an electrician out there to do something. We did it. Send them a picture afterward to let them know that it had been taken care of. So I get along pretty well with it.
Okay, so you're able to build bridges with the city that you're not in contact with at this
Exactly.
time?
When I was living here, I didn't need to contact the building department, but I don't have an issue with them.
Because we do have that reputation about permits.
Yes.
Yeah, I like cities too.
And we got meetings and fines too.
Oh, no. Well, once you get the work done, you usually
Well,
go
we
back.
got the time of contract.
Yeah.
Is before, yes.
Yeah, you can usually go back and they'll wipe those out for a small administrative fee.
4 millions? I don't know about
Oh, they're, well, they just want to get the work done, they really
We'll
do.
see.
I think we've covered between your presentation a lot of the areas that are just general questions. I don't have anything else. Maud, do you have anything before we open to the unit owners?
no, I don't.
Maritza?
Good for now.
Sean? Okay, at this time, we're gonna open it to the unit owners. Do you have any specific questions for this management company?
And one question, have you looked at all the units in each phase?
Actually, I drove through the property after I spoke to you the other day. So I have not looked at every unit in the, I
You haven't
walked.
noticed the difference between 4, 3, 2,
I know
and
there
1?
are, I know
Big
there are,
difference.
yeah, I know there are differences, and I have not actually walked it, but I did come and drive through and took a peek at the property last
The
week.
other question is, there's a lot of stuff that has not been done and finished by Jay. There's a lot of stuff that have to get done, for example, the big stump in front of my house. Never done, has to be removed. Somebody has to do it,
With,
okay?
And she brings a very good question. Let's talk about what the transition
Yeah.
looks to you. You have a meeting, you involve the entire board. What's that transition meeting
with
look
your
like?
current management
Correct.
company? How long have you been with them?
Too long. When did he purchase the company from the guy? So Sunrise itself has been, I don't even think it was, I think it was always called Sunrise, and then it was sold to Jay.
Right.
I don't know, more than 5 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, usually the attorney says the attorney.
Usually your attorney will send the cancellation letter.
No, we're past that.
We're past that.
Yeah,
We
he
will-
submitted his 60-day notice,
Okay,
so
we
which,
will send him a letter asking for the records. We have a standard letter that we
you have
give.
a standard,
We have a standard letter.
process?
And
And
everything that we're requesting, it goes back, I have 7 years, 12 years for
Oh, yeah.
things on that.
What about to her point, what about current outstanding issues?
That should be turned over to us, all of that. should be
Don't
turned over.
expect a list.
Well, then, we will walk the property, maybe with a board member who's aware of what's going on. We'll spend time, we find we spend more time initially on a property to begin with, and then things start to settle down, and we understand that. But
There's, I
yeah,
have a property, okay, that we just recently took over, and the first thing when we walked around, the fire extinguishers haven't been checked in 2 years. And they have tags on it, and you know, they check them off.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm digging into all the paperwork, because there was some paperwork there in the office, and I find like 4 violation notices. They hadn't paid the bills, they didn't get the permit for the fire alarm as well. Tack that, $2,000 for each one, for a $210 bill. You know, so sometimes just digging around, and I don't know what they have here, if they have everything off-site. They have everything off-site, nothing here.
okay, well, if he's got boxes of paper, we'll pick those up as well.
And that was my next question, what do you do with the existing paper files?
I've got shelves on mine.
Do you require the association to put it in storage?
It probably would be safer if the association did it and we all had access, but if not, I've got records from multiple associations on shelves, and they're all labeled, and when I need them, I go get them. We will, if we have.
That's why I hire a high schooler and have them scan everything in,
Yeah.
so you'll have it all digital.
If we have to take them a couple thumb drives, if the
That's a bad idea, so. Okay. Did they answer your question for you?
Partially,
Okay.
And what phase are you in?
but I have another question. Phase 1 and phase 2 has very bad problems with termites. How do you handle that? And I have another question as well. Right now, I have a conflict going on with a person in my phase 1, okay? One person wants to have the whole 4-unit building tented. I do not want to have it tented. How do I handle it?
Well, some companies don't tent, they use, you know,
Yeah, that's what we've been using.
Yeah, they can use things inside, and we have termite companies we work with.
Right, because that was earlier with this person.
Yeah, and I mean, in a high rise, you can't tent, so they come in and do it. In fact, the project I'm talking about in Fort Lauderdale has a termite issue. They're replacing their doors, so the termite guy is gonna come spray inside all the walls once this outside door gets taken off. So there are ways we can get them in to try and treat the unit for you.
So there are ways, is
Yes,
what you're
there
saying,
are
there's
ways.
different ways to
it's
scale.
alternative methods.
Well, that's the point I was trying to make. In my unit, I have 1,700. We have Sal coming in and doing the termite work all the time. We don't have seen any termites at all at this point, okay? The person next door said since she actually has the ones that fly,
Her
okay?
new kitchen she's claiming her new kitchen is being destroyed by termites.
Well, I'm talking about Carlos in number 2, 1704, 1708, and 1712. 12 is the tenant, okay? The woman that I'm having a problem with is Patricia.
The one the tent with the tent.
Well, she's not the tenant, she's the.
No, the one that has a tenant.
Yeah, exactly, okay? So I wanna get that problem taken care of, because I'm not having my house tented at all.
Yeah, that has to be, well, I mean, there's,
Because
somebody
that
has
has
to be looked at.
Termite
Huh?
issue with the new kitchen?
Sorry?
Somebody had a new kitchen put in and they're having so something might have been infected before they
Well,
brought
we
it
don't
in.
know.
Very
So
little woman
we've
doesn't know what this is
requested-
talking about, that's the problem.
We've requested the management company to get another opinion, like Deadbug Edwards and so forth. And so, has Deadbug Edwards or another company even come by?
The problem was that Patricia got Jay involved with her lawyer, and Jay basically said, okay, let's go do what you have to do. That's what happened.
Okay. Well,
I
hopefully
mean,
that's
I'm
on the,
angry about that.
no, I understand. Hopefully that's gonna be on that transition list.
It's become very simple, it's scheduled for the end of May,
What is scheduled for the end of
the
May?
tenting. And I didn't have to have it done at all. If I have to get an injunction, I'm gonna get that, I'm gonna get it all done. And how about Jay, Sean, how about you write that for me, okay?
What's that?
When you want an injunction, and I haven't even done it all, I don't want it done.
Well,
How
infestation of,
Yes, infestations.
right? So how are those handled when you can't tent a building?
Right,
There has to be something.
right.
And that's what we do all the time, that's why we don't have, termites going all over my room and in the house.
So, right, but what you have to understand is, so her attorney, I think, has been in touch with the association attorney, and that has to be between them two. And we can't comment on a legal
Right.
issue because we're not the attorneys. So I will find out for you, but I can't, I don't know what has
Can I get the name
transpired.
of the HOA lawyer? I need her number, her name, the number.
Yeah, and you know what
Carla,
happens?
well, no, Carla,
You can't call the association lawyer, you don't have the standing personally to call the association lawyer, that has to go through the board of management.
that's not how it's been.
But she can use it then. That's what she's doing, that's her position.
Calling the association lawyer.
Her attorney has contacted the association.
That's different, attorney to attorney is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, noted. I'll follow
Yes.
up for you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll actually send an email tonight.
That's what happens with
What's
termites.
what's your unit number?
I'm sorry,
1500 phase two?
Phase one. I'm the one that has the big stone at the top of the front.
You're in the corner.
Yeah, corner.
Okay.
When they partially remove that big tree, there still is some there.
Okay.
That should be.
Any other questions for this management company? Yes, sir.
Okay, for phase two, in terms of a transition moving forward with any other management company, one of the things that I've noticed since I've been here is the trees that are in that area. I'm the unit owner that had my wife pregnant at the same time when that heavy wind passed through and tore all the trees that I spoke about to Blair prior to moving in. All those branches came down in the yard. It was just a wind. It wasn't rain or anything. I think, what's her name? Regatta, or whatever her name is?
Renata.
She's in phase one. At the time, she was the only one that came over and said, I noticed this happen. I mean, I'm on the board. I would be more than happy to get you help and move this out. Because if your wife was out there, it would have been way more disastrous. These trees from day one, I've spoken to Jay about, I've spoken to Blair about. They hang over into your property,
Are you in
This-
phase two?
right?
Are you in the same building as Jones?
Same
Yeah.
place, it's like a forest out there.
Gutters are.
But
what I'm-
Joan, just, I don't mean to interrupt, sir. Did Jerry's crew from Proscapes come?
I haven't seen anyone.
Okay.
All right, so in Jones' case, there's a tree that goes right there and forcing right into the gutter, right against the house.
Right.
They had came up, when the city came, they put an X on all of these properties, the trees that should have been taken out.
And they.
There's some that was taken out, especially the one that was right there by my unit. And the other ones, because the tape fell off, nobody even paid it any mind.
The city didn't come to tape, that tape was done by the arborist with Proscapes. Now, you're talking about the
And then they
blue.
said they wanted, some permit to remove these trees and all that stuff.
Well, you do in the city of Plantation. We
So,
removed the tree
That was
without a
done,
permit.
but I'm saying, in transition, moving over to
Yeah.
any other, there has to be someone who's assessing these trees, because when the just wind and it breaks those trees, people could get hurt. That's a whole different case.
That's
I have a little kid that I have to take outside now. She's only 2 years old. She wants to walk every day. She loves nature. When this happens,
Mhm.
it's gonna be a bigger disaster.
Yeah.
So let's prevent it before it happens, especially with hurricane season coming in. Those trees are way over.
Yeah. So I'll tell you,
And gutters.
yeah, so I spoke with Jerry on Friday, and he was out of town, and he says, send me an email to my admin, and she actually responded, she says, as a reminder, and I will be going out, I gave him your unit number, which I assume is the same building where Joan is. So in fact, let me see, I'll tell you exactly,
To
no,
re- to reinforce my point, I even said it I renovated my bathroom and there were 3 roots coming up in the sewage line.
Yes.
And I'm about to do my second bathroom, and I'm almost sure if I have that issue, we're gonna have a bigger problem.
Yeah.
All right, may I say something to you one-on-one?
Go ahead.
Did you reach out to your
Eric, you
insurance
still
company
there?
when you had the 3 weeks in your pipes?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Yes, I'm here. Okay, I'll give you a little, I know it's tough to reach out to insurance, but I had the same thing happen in the house that I bought in North Miami, that I had inspected. And it was like $50,000 because they had to tear up my whole interior floor to replace the drain pipe. The insurance paid to replace everything that had to be torn up. I paid for the pipe, I paid for the plumbing. My insurance paid to put everything back. So, and it was a lot of money. So you might, if you have a problem this next time, you might reach out to your insurance.
I am aware of stuff like this, but I need you to be aware also of the inconveniences that comes with these. You end up getting your property dug up and it sits there 1, 2, 3 years before you get any form of adjustment or anything that satisfies you. I'm not into that. I just want to be happy, comfortable, and no issues.
But I wrote out.
Additionally, in this case, well, of course, this has nothing probably to do with this segment of it, but I was out for a meeting that passed. So I'm just gonna ask questions that I think is relevant to me because I'm not knowledgeable about it. Prior to moving in, after the assessment was done and stuff, I was made to understand by Blair that I would have had where my fence, there wasn't any fence when I purchased the property. There, everybody that parks right there, all these lights would be coming straight into my bedroom. The association would have put back a fence. I went ahead, put the fence